Hello everyone, and welcome. I hope you all have been enjoying the spooky season so far. You know what I've always liked most about this holiday? It's not the candy, not the costumes. It's the creepy, unsettling ghost stories. So, I thought for this special time of year, I would tell my own ghost story. One that I heard when I was but a kid, yet I can still recall in very vivid detail to this day. So, sit back, relax, and let's listen to a good old ghost story. Alright, this is the story of Greedy Johnny. Once there lived a small family, a mother and her son, Johnny. The two lived alone on a farm a few miles from town. Johnny was not a very nice kid. He often argued with his mother, slacked on his duties around the house, and often bullied the farm animals. Tried as his mother did, she could not break his streak of causing trouble. One day, Johnny went out taking a stroll through the nearby woods close to his home. He was walking along the usual dirt path he normally took when he noticed something sticking out from the bush. It looked like a shoe. Curious, Johnny stepped closer and pushed the leaves aside. There, laying on the ground, was a body, cold, pale, mangled appearance, and torn clothes. It looked like someone had dragged it out here. Who could have done this? Why would anyone do this? By the state of the body, it was in a mild state of decay. A foul stench filled his nose. It almost made him want to gag. Even cleaning up after the cows after a cold brown wasn't this bad. Wait a second. What's that glinting on the body's finger? Despite the horrible smell, Johnny's curiosity got the better of him, and he got closer to take a look. There, fitted on one of the fingers, was a shiny silver ring. It looked rather expensive. Could probably fetch him a nice price if he pawned it in town. With that greedy thought in mind, Johnny reached down trying to remove the ring. Yet much to his dismay, it was firmly fitted. Giving it one good tug, the decaying finger broke right off. Well, at least he still got the ring, right? He'd figure out how to remove it completely later. Stuffing the finger in his pocket, Johnny's greed took over a bit more, and flipping the body onto its back, he searched for anything else he could pocket. It was then Johnny laid his eyes on a gold necklace that was hidden by the jacket when he first saw it. Smiling with glee, he would lift the head up and remove the necklace. Satisfied with the two items, Johnny left the body to return home. Later that night after dinner, Johnny's mother would go leave to visit a friend, and she'd return in the following morning. It was around midnight. All the animals had been taken care of, and Johnny was in his room with the window open, sitting on the bed still pulling at that stubborn ring attached to the severed finger. The gold necklace was resting there beside him on the bed, A bit dirty, but he could give it a good clean. He'd been at this for a couple minutes now, growing more and more frustrated at his lack of progress. With a sigh, he threw the finger at the wall before it hit the floor with a thud. Johnny stood up to get ready for bed. He'd deal with the finger and the ring in the morning. If he couldn't pull it off, then he'd just chop off a piece of the finger and see if it will slip off much more easier. Just as he was getting ready to change out of his clothes, the lights in his room went off. The wind began to kick up, causing the curtains to blow. On top of all that, it suddenly felt much colder. His breath had become now visible. Suddenly, he began to hear something, a light cracking sound, coming from the floor, right where the finger was laying. Scrambling to find the candle by his bed, he eventually managed to find it, as well as the matchbox. Lighting a match, he would light the candle, giving him some illumination. Looking down at the floor, Johnny's blood ran cold. The cracking sound was coming from the finger. It was curling and straightening over and over, producing that cracking pop. Johnny was horrified. Severed fingers didn't move on their own. It didn't make any sense. Was he dreaming? That certainly seemed like the most logical scenario. However, his hopes for a dream came crashing down. Soon, he felt a particularly cold gust of wind blowing through the window. And then, he heard it. A horrible, sickening voice echoed with the wind. The hairs on his neck stood up as he turned towards the window, looking out towards the dirt road. Suddenly, he felt that cold breeze again. Johnny's eyes began to tear up as he felt a wave of panic rush through his body. He stood there, staring out the window, his fingers gripping the wood tightly. Even still, Johnny did not move. He kept staring out the window, looking intently down the road. A post with a lantern hanging on it gave some light to the surroundings. He stood there staring at that lantern. More tears started dripping from his eyes, his fear rooting him in place as he waited to see something enter the light of the lantern. Johnny's heart practically leapt out of his chest as that made him finally move. Sprinting to the hallway, he looked towards the stairs leading down to the living room. He heard the sound of the front door swinging open from downstairs. Johnny quickly, yet silently, went back into his room and shut the door. Grabbing the candle, he crept inside his closet to hide. Fearing for his life, he carefully made his way to the back of the closet. Blowing out the candle, he covered it with clothes to help hide the smell. He then used the spare clothes to cover himself as well, hoping it would help hide him from this thing. From within the closet, Johnny could hear the sound of the door handle jostling and turning, and then the door sliding open. He closed his eyes tightly as he heard a slow, shuffling gait enter his room. There was a heavy yet raspy breathing sound coming from outside. Very much like the finger earlier, there was more of those disgusting cracks with each movement he heard. And then, all of a sudden, everything went silent. No sounds of shuffling, no distorted breathing. Did the thing find its finger and necklace? He did leave them out in plain sight. Was it over? No. No, in fact, it wasn't. Because the second he thought that conclusion, he smelt it. That same horrific odor from before. The very sickening scent of decay that nearly made him gag. The next morning, Johnny's mother came home to find a horrifying scene. Furniture tipped over, broken glass and dishes scattered all across the floor. Animals screaming out in panic from their stables. But most importantly, no Johnny. Well, I can't say that exactly, as she did find him. Parts of him. Following the mess towards the back door, once she turns the corner into the kitchen, she screamed in horror. There on the floor, in various spots, were Johnny's fingernails. It looked like he had been trying to claw away from something or someone, but to no avail. A trail of blood led out the back door. Following the trail, it looked like it went through the fence, and looking beyond that, it led straight into the nearby woods. For days, Johnny's mother searched those woods with her best hunting dogs. And yet, Johnny was never found. And there you have it, my friends. I hope you enjoyed the story. I will probably do something like this every year for the occasion. I want to say thank you all so much for stopping by and taking a listen. It's always so nice to spend such quality time with you all. However, I won't take up too much of your time now, as I'm sure you've got other plans that you had. Just want to wrap up and say, take care, stay safe, and please, don't make the same mistakes as Johnny. What often goes around, comes around. Happy Halloween, everyone.